Hello and welcome to another album review. Today we'll be going over Charles Bradley's Changes. Changes, as you can tell, is a homage to Black Sabbath's Changes, which was kind of like a different approach to Black Sabbath at the time, adding more of a keyboardish kind of ballad kind of feel. It was done really, really well by Ozzy. And I believe, on a couple of live albums by Ozzy, he takes it even a step further, adding in more metal instrumentation that wasn't prevalent on Black Sabbath, of their version of the song. Charles Bradley takes it to a whole other extreme as far as, not just reviewing the song, but the song itself as a centerpiece and actual title track of the album. He really adds his own spin to the actual song and totally blows it up to add his own unique brand of soulish vocals. And you can really tell the power and force in his vocal and then the delivery of the song. And interestingly enough, on the entire record, as far as anything that Charles Bradley's ever come out with, it's believable. It comes through in such a tour de force that you instantly know this guy has been through something in his life. And at 64 years old, it's not very hard to believe that he has been through a couple of things, or gone through changes, or seen the political environment and the world around him change in so many different ways. As a lot of times with Charles Bradley, he seems to be the artist as far as the neo-soul kind of records go. He has his contemporary out there who is also an older gentleman, Lee Fields, and he tends to take the more political approach to music and songwriting, talking about the American political environment and the cultural change and even the ethnic kind of backdrop, seemingly kind of harkening back to James Brown in a way, or even Marvin Gaye. Though his vocal delivery doesn't seem to kind of have either of those fields. He seems to be more of in the realm of maybe Otis Redding or maybe touches of James Brown. But his vocals are more powerful than anything. He's not subduing you with falsettos or, romantically powerhousing over you like Smokey Robinson. He's very deep and powerful and gruff. And on this album, it seems to be kind of the same way. It doesn't really change up past the other albums, but that's never necessarily a bad thing. We've gone through almost 40 years of AC/DC doing the same thing. It really matters, how great the songwriting is. And ask yourself, how great really is the songwriting? Charles Bradley's always at the top of his game as far as songwriting goes. He's always the kind of guy that always leaves these little caches of interesting knowledge and beauty that maybe you hadn't seen before. He's definitely kind of like, not to talk about his age, but he's definitely more like the grandfather figure to a younger generation, telling us all the different things he's been through and a way to spin life and change it around and see it for what it is in a different sort of light. And he definitely touches on a lot of subjects of love too, as well, as far as, how hard it is to keep things going in a relationship or love, or finding somebody after all this time, that maybe you can go home to every night. He definitely spins this kind of different view of life in general, and as I like to call it, the affair is that there's such a lot of there's so much things going on that sometimes it's hard or easy to get lost in the shuffle of everything, and you can't rely on the fact that you know it all, because you don't. And I believe that he really hammers that point home on almost every song, is that you you live through it, you go through it, and no matter what, you can't think that you know every little thing that's going to happen and be around the bend. And also politically, he seems to touch on these aspects that we are free, but we're not really free, are we? We do this over and over and over again to ourselves, thinking that we're gonna vote in change, but it's never quite really change, is it? It's always the same thing, just a different way. And to be completely honest, changes as an album, especially in today's America, has such a vibrant effect and such a long-lasting kind of message to it, that we're always going through changes, and now more than ever we're going through a lot of different changes. And it kind of, back in the 60s and 70s, a lot of artists kind of had that effect on culture, in which that when they seen change or seen the environment around them drastically go down or up, they wrote about it. And I think that that's very nice of Charles Bradley to kind of take what he sees and puts it on a record and shows us what he thinks about it. But it's not overly socio-political as far as maybe U2 would go, or Midnight Oil, where it's all about that. It's definitely not. It just seems as though whatever he feels or knows or sees, he's going to tell you about it, which kind of harkens back to this elder statesman figure in life and times, or in music, that every time you see him, you sit down, you talk, and it always boils back to all the things he could tell you about what he's done and been through. And it feels good to be able to hear somebody tell you things that maybe you're feeling or have not felt before, or to kind of put a different spin on your life perspective that maybe you hadn't thought of before. And he does it very well. And not only that, but his backing band seems to have this weird way of being so soulful and so retro that it's almost scary. If you take the record and you put it up against something from maybe the 60s or 70s, it sounds almost identical. If these records weren't released in the last 10 years, you would not even know. He could literally have been on something from back in the day, whether it be Stax or Motown. He would have been the artist of the time. And it's surprising that it's only now that he's kind of gotten this recognition for what he is. But feeling as though maybe in the time that where he was, obviously his heyday probably would have been in the 80s. That music wasn't very popular, and I don't feel as though he would have fit in very well in that time period of the 80s as far as their sort of soul and R&B perspective was going on. I feel as though he has more of a 60s, 70s kind of voice, which emulates better than anything maybe that would have happened in that period. And it comes across very well, and you can almost just, if you close your eyes, you could just see that time period. It's amazing. And I'm surprised that they haven't really cast him personally, or Orly Fields, for something to be played on the TV show Vinyl by Martin Scorsese. These gentlemen, not only do they have amazing singing voices, but their music videos, really, they look very well in their music videos. And not only that, but the way that they move and they kind of act, or their facial expressions, I believe they should be on a TV show or a movie of some kind, portraying maybe somebody from that time period, because they do it so well. And not only that, but they have that kind of face where you can watch them over and over again. The music video for Changes in general just portrays Charles Bradley's face and all the kind of emotions coming across. And I think that kind of translates out to the album itself and the artist itself, is that he wears it all on his face. He can't hide anything from anybody. It's kind of what this album itself portrays. He's not holding back what he sees or knows or feels. He's giving it to you blatantly on that slab, and we love it and enjoy it because most of it is true. And we thank you guys so much for watching our videos. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment in the comment box below, and we will get back to you as soon as we possibly can. And as always, Thank you. Have a great day, and we hope to hear from you all soon. Bye.